I spoke to a coach just last week who told me they had their best month ever. 15K cash collected, right? I went in and I asked what changed, and they told me basically, they were booking calls or they posted more. They booked about 12 calls. That next month, though, they told me that they really had $2,000, a simple, measly $2,000 in comparison to that 15K, right? I know you may be looking to get that first 2K, but when you've hit that 15, a lot of people assume that you've made it and there's no going back. But the reality here is that at least that's what it hit me. I could just tell by the way they were even talking to me, they were burnt out, right? And most coaches, it just goes to show they don't actually have a true system, right? I've worked with enough coaches at this point now to confidently say they don't actually have a client acquisition system. They have effort, tactics. A lot of them are posting content, they're hustling, but there's no operating system, right? And really, I think that's the core problem at the root of it there. So, and it's honestly exactly what I want to unpack here today. What's going on? My name is Justice Severin. I make these videos every single week here for you, and I'm making them specifically for coaches, consultants, experts, high-ticket service providers just like yourself. And today is no different. I want to just really hit on what I think is probably just like the core of the biggest problem going on. I wouldn't, really in the industry as a whole for coaches, but probably for you right now too when it comes down towards lacking that consistency. Like, I want to hit this on the head, and I just feel like this video should really hit home for so many. All right, so I don't want to waste any time here. Obviously, if you're new, go ahead, drop a comment. I say obviously like you've been here before and you know this, but drop a comment. Let me know if you got questions, but definitely say new down below in the comments. I like seeing new subscribers coming through. And if you haven't subscribed yet, that's fine. Just let me see who's over here watching. And beyond that, if you're watching this and you've seen my stuff before, tap in, tap in, or click the subscribe button. I'm dropping these, like I said, every single week, every Wednesday at 4 o'clock. At least that's the time I've been doing that for the past couple of years here. I was doing them as live streams for about 4 years. Moved to doing them on YouTube early 2025, and then haven't looked back. So here we go today with just another good one in the queue for you. So let's go ahead and just dive straight into this. Really, the first big piece I want to talk about, I want to cover, kind of break this down to kind of two phases. First one, I just got a couple of core pieces that I feel like are huge for you, and then I want to tap straight into like implementation, how you can piece it all together to kind of overcome the hurdles that I just really see. So like number one is really more leads, right? And more leads in itself is the wrong goal, right? More leads itself is the wrong goal. Here's why: more leads sounds good. It's like everybody's thinking, I want to get more leads. I want to get more leads. I feel like if I was talking to more people, if I had more places to pitch my offer, so often I'm telling people, hey, like, how many offers you made this week? And they don't even have off people they can make offers to. So to them, more leads sounds great, right? But most coaches are just kind of chasing more leads when they don't even have an actual system to convert them, right? So I would argue that the reality is here that you don't need more leads, you need better ones. Because there's plenty of times I'm talking to people where they have a couple of leads sprinkling in, but the reality is the disconnect that they have from really why that lead should buy to actually become a high ticket client, it's such a strong disconnect there. And it's a lot of coaches don't realize that not having the answer to that in advance is what's drastically slowing them down towards hitting their income goal, towards achieving the why, which is probably related towards impact, lifestyle, and just what they want, what they envision for themselves and their families. And so I think that this is really where we need to shift it. The ideology here is that we do not need more leads. We need better ones. We need pre-sold ones. We need the right ones, qualified leads, pre-sold leads. This is where the energy has to be placed, because I just see it over and over again. We will be having people that we are talking to, right? And when I say we, like, I'm seeing so many coaches, like I said, I talk to coaches every day basically, and I just see it where they have people. Let's put it this way. There's a couple of buckets, right? One bucket is they get zero leads, right? Really talking to nobody. They're just kind of posting constantly, or at least attempting to post, and probably either procrastinating or just kind of struggling to stay consistent because someone's told them to post forever until you go viral, and that's just, I think, a recipe for disaster, right? So you have that one. Then you have the next bucket of people where they are actually talking to some leads, and like they're actually getting some people who potentially could buy, but then at the same time they're just not really the most definitely not pre-sold, and then the qualified piece is absolutely missing, right? And it's easy to see why they're not pre-sold, because the branding isn't really where it needs to be on your side to where they're even believing that. And then so many other pieces within your ecosystem, there's a lack of nurturing and all these pieces. And when you're taking things this route, now all of a sudden your offers tend to fall flat, right? And it's because the ecosystem as a whole isn't speaking to your audience in advance. People, for me, before I pitch an offer, people have seen it. And let's just say if I'm pitching an offer verbally, you have seen it beforehand, right? Like for everyone who doesn't know, like I run brand to clients, right? I got the details down below in the description. People can see that offer far before they'll ever talk to me. People a lot of the times will buy the offer before they've ever actually spoken to me, right? And this is why some of these other pieces are so important here, understanding how your ecosystem works as a whole, because without that, it's kind of like you have just all these little islands that are just scattered trying to work together. It's really difficult to make something like that profitable, okay? So that's the first big idea I wanted to hit home for you. The second big idea is, I don't know why I guess just that overall coaching advice most people get is broken. It's broken. It's just kind of built on quicksand, the advice here, if you were to go ahead and take action with that. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard, advice like, hey, just go post some more, just go post more. Jay, just go ahead and do some more outreach, as if that's the key to consistency. It's easy to be consistent with those activities, even though I say it's easy because it's 100% in your control. The reality is, though, is that it's tough because I think of a lot of the mental pieces behind it. But the reality is, too, is that most people are not staying consistent with that in general. I don't blame you. I think that if that's what you had to wake up and do, I would struggle to be consistent with that over the long run. That's why things like delegation are so heavily pushed inside of this space, because nobody wants to do these things themselves. And I think that the sooner we realize this, the faster we can shift and lean into a strategy where we're not forced to show up in that type of way every single day, right? I think that's really the big piece too. And that advice really just creates this emotional roller coaster, if you will, of income. And I think that, because sometimes you'll hustle harder, but then the results themselves are just not predictable, right? You're stuck in effort, but there's no leverage, little to no leverage at all, really. And kind of here's what the advice that I feel like kind of sounds like right now, right? It's go post more. Go DM strangers. You insert how much posting a week or a day. You insert how many DM strangers need a DM. These are the kind of things that people are being told right now. Go hop on 25 calls. I was just on a call with somebody where they told me the past 38 calls they booked, all no-shows. That is so painful to hear, right? But this is what people are dealing with, right? And it might not be that extreme for you, but if we look at the results on the back end, it may feel that extreme, right? Maybe it's worse for you where you had 38 people show up and nobody bought. Like that's also terrible, right? So I don't even know which one is worse. Obviously I think that 38 no-shows is a little worse, but hey, at least you save your time. But that, it's like, I just think that this reality is tough. And then, even call it the woo-woo mentality, right? It's like, hey, go out there and drink your coffee, manifest, hustle harder. I just think that the reality is this is what's setting people back. I mean, you got Jimmy out here posting every day, burning 3 hours on reels, right? In the short form content, hopping in 20 DMs and convos inside of IG, hustling and wondering why his income still is just up and down like a seesaw. And the sad reality is that seesaw is just permanently on the ground for a lot of folks out there, right? These strategies are not wrong. I'm not here, it probably sounds like I'm trying to hate on these strategies. I just think that it comes back towards, are you going to stay consistent with them, or are you going to work them? Anything can work and will work, right? I used to do constant outreach as my sole strategy. I had nothing else, right? Especially when I was coming up in this space here too. We're talking 2020, right? I used to have it where I was posting more consistently, right? I really don't post that much anymore, but I used to post, 3 times a week or more. And because I just never, once again, it was tough for me to post every day over the long run. And I think because of what is required with a post, you need these fancy pictures, sometimes in a video, sometimes in a good caption, whatever it may be, right? The reality is it's tough to stay consistent with that, right? So we just need to understand that these strategies that people are teaching, they're a bit incomplete. I think that's where you just need to fill in the gaps with them, right? And then big idea number 3 here is that what coaches actually need, if we take it to the core, right? This is exactly what it opened up with. They need a machine. You need a machine. And this game gets a whole lot easier when you stop chasing all these little tactics and you start installing a system, right? A true machine, one that runs with or without you. Ideally, you should be able to have things moving to where it is completely passive. I have it right now where while I'm recording this, leads can literally be coming in. And I don't say that as in like, oh yeah, because every once in a while a lead comes into my world. It's like, no, we are predictably getting double-digit leads every single day, right? And I don't mean like, oh, we're getting 10 or 11 leads. Like, this is what happens when you have the right system, the right machine set up, And then on the flip side of that, when you have the right ecosystem behind it to consistently get your high ticket offer without you there. Right? As you can imagine, for me right now, I can have it where I'm recording this. I go ahead and I'm sending this out to my email list. They come in, they see this, right? Underneath, they can see I got the link to my program. They can go check it out. Like this is how this, and that is just one way that I benefit without even having to think about it. Because I just wake up and take action in areas that bring me max leverage, where I can lean more into one to many because I'm building up my audience with qualified leads and pre-sold leads. This is what matters far more than anything. All right. So the sooner we can really start to understand this idea, this kind of mentality, it will drastically change your business. Now, how do we kind of get into the implementation, like I mentioned before? This is where really things start to shift for us when we start to get away from what's probably not working for you, and we can get into what it is. And really, at the core of it, it's the right machine, it's the right operating system, it's the right strategy that's packaged up for you to really stay consistent with, that allows you to have the right elements to it, or just enough passiveness to it, just enough visibility to it, just enough awareness to it, just enough of the right spices when blended together makes this delicious curry sauce, not whatever it is that you like. But this is how we want to have it really moving for you. So really for this, you can, I'm a big fan of the power of three, if you will, here too. I'm also a big fan of the power of one, but the power of three. Let's bring this down to three core pieces for you that can really help you to really get this right. Right. So number one is, if you want to really get this machine right, I really view this as a trifecta, if you will, here. Right. And so really, you can call this the perfect triangle. And I think really at the bottom, one of the bottom corners, we have our core flagship offer. Right. For us, if you're familiar with me and if you're a student of mine, I teach our bestseller offer framework, right? Creating superior, irresistible no-brainer offers. We want to have where we're creating this bestseller offer, something you can confidently sell every day. You can wake up and just know, I'm waking up throwing darts at this thing every day, getting people to this every single day. The problem is that so many people are having where they're trying to go out and they're trying to have, they not even trying to, but they have like literally like 4 to 9 different offers, and they're just completely waking up and customizing it. The problem with this is that when you're doing it this way, you have no leverage. You're typically pitching things off as one-offs, right? A lot of one-off offers. And so now you're having to constantly repeat yourself and not even just repeat yourself, having to constantly explain yourself specifically, uniquely to that situation. Treating everybody they're like this, some special, unique snowflake. Yes, your business is different, but you probably fall under the same umbrella that a lot of people do. Especially if you have your offer, you can get your offer to that point where it should be just slight nuances that may be different between everybody, right? When it comes to my offer, this is absolutely holds true. The reality is people need the right system in so many different ways, and it's missing, and it doesn't really matter as long as, once again, they're selling something higher ticket. Chances are that this can serve them, right? So that's one big piece there, is I want to get you not so scattered as far as how many offers or programs you have. This is more of the power of one mentality that I really love and preach all the time too. And when you commit to it, your clarity increases, right? Your positioning sharpens, and your messaging starts hitting so much harder and just so much more different than everyone else's, right? So, and then the second big piece really here is a system that creates qualified pre-sold buyers. This is where the machine element kicks in, a true lead gen machine. The sooner we have this, and I'm not talking just visibility, right? I'm not talking just content, because that's how a lot of people right now are kind of treating lead generation. And to me, this is not enough. It really isn't, because like I said, we could be getting all the leads in the world, but a lot of times, and this is why when it comes down to running ads, I'm big into running ads here too. We want to have it where we are getting the right ads, the right leads coming through, but sometimes that doesn't mean we want to pay the least amount for a lead. Sometimes it's worth paying a bit more if it's somebody who's going to actually pull out their wallet at the end of the day, right? This is why it's not just about getting visibility for visibility. This is why when you go viral a lot of the times, and majority of people do not end up ever going viral, is that you have it where a lot of these people come through, but they're not the right folks. You need the right messaging, really pieces dialed in to really make this work for you that much more here. Buyers who understand the value before they see the offer, especially before they get on the call, if that's something you're looking to do, this is what will set you up, right? But the way we make this happen is your marketing has to truly sell the plan before they ever see your offer, before they ever get on the call if you decide to sell with a call, before insert your conversion vehicle or mechanism. That's how things really start to switch and transform for you in the business. And then number three is an ecosystem that converts without pressure. I say this because when you start to get this right, this is really what is a key piece in what makes this passive play with all of this extremely doable, extremely possible. It allows you to thrive when you can really get this right, right? Where your funnel, content, assets, and backend are all connected to make this beautiful ecosystem where sales calls all of a sudden come completely optional at the end of the day here. This is where things can shift. High ticket exposure is happening on autopilot, right? As you know, maybe you don't. I teach people about a client magnet funnel and selling your high ticket offer in ways where it allows you to get creative and not have to, once again, show up and explain your offer one-to-one to everybody, right? I also should have the link down for that in the description as well here too. This is how you want to really switch the game for you, right? I built this business, or more specifically, I built this into my business, which has allowed me to still run my business with full force even while I'm injured, right? Back in 2023, I tore my Achilles. 2023, early 2023. I tore my Achilles, literally was out. I tore it playing basketball. I was out for about 7 months from playing basketball. So I was obviously really down and out for quite some time there. And I still collected over 500K on my Stripe account. Like, this is how things can really happen when you start to really get the right system dialed in, get the right processes dialed in, right? And I feel like, yet again, this is why I think this is a big part of the reason why I truly believe that smart coaches feel stuck right now. There's so many, and I say smart because I talk to them. Like, there's a lot of smart coaches out there, a lot of smart people out there who are in the coaching space, the expert space, consulting space, and they still feel stuck, right? They still feel stuck. And like what I keep seeing is that, once again, like I said, they're talented, they're doing all the right things, but they're still stuck. And it's not because they're lazy. I'll tell you that much. It's definitely not because they're clueless. Like I said, I talked to a lot of them. They have that understanding, but they're stuck because they're building on top of scattered tactics, not a true infrastructure, right? Dan Kennedy talks about this ideology around principles, strategies, tactics. And a lot of people, they are completely ignoring the principle that you need to start with before you really get moving. That acts as your foundation, that acts as your guardrails to make sure you're staying in the right lane, right? But people just throw that in the trash and they just start right with the tactics. And that's the problem, because now they're bouncing around different tactics and things aren't working. So what the reality here is that, no system, no principle, no core strategy, no system, really, it means that your wins are not repeatable, right? And when you can't repeat a win, your income stays emotional. Your income stays inconsistent. And the business tends to either go stagnant, or it ends up where you're forced to go ahead and pack up and go back to a 9 to 5. I came from the accounting industry, right? The accounting space. I was a 9 to 5 accountant for 6 to 7 years out in Boston, right? I quit and went full time really right around the beginning of 2021. And I've never looked back, right? And that's a strong why for me to this day. Yes, I have big whys, but it's like, I know for me, my big thing is I just never want to have to go back. I never want to have a boss in that way. And I think it's a beautiful thing to be able to really accomplish that. And I'm grateful for the life that I have. But the reality here is that it's so easy to fall back into it if you don't have the right foundation built out from the get-go. The faster you get that, the better there, right? The real shift comes from not just having a coaching situation, but comes from having the right operating system. At some point, you have to stop trying to learn more. And it's got to start to become a true installation process, installing the thing that actually runs the business, that actually allows you to be away, right? Go with my kids to swim lessons, go help my daughter, go coach my daughter's basketball practice, go drop them to school, go be with my wife and take dates, do all these things, right? This is what allows me to run the business, how allows me to live my life while the business runs completely by itself. Yes, I come in to optimize. Yes, I come in to get it right, but I don't have to live there day in and day out. And having this kind of control in your business changes so much, right? This is the real transformation, taking things from hustle to leverage, from effort to predictability, right? From leads to buyers, from just being a coach to owning a true machine for yourself in the business. All right. Now, for one, I really hope this hit for you. If any of this resonated, with you right now watching this, right? Take it as your invitation to rethink how you're approaching your growth. Just take it as your invitation to take a step back and start to gain that clarity. Clarity removes the emotional highs and lows of right now. If you feel like you're on that roller coaster, whether it's on the income, whether you feel like you've been stuck at the starting line, but you're just going up and down still, right? But there's no forward motion happening here. This is how things really start to shift for you, right? So really, I'm telling you, get the clarity right, get these pieces moving. These systems, they create space, right? They create space for better clients, better decisions, better income. This is the direction I've taken my business in. It's where my best client results have come from. And it's where I'm continuing to work and evolve in order to just refine over time. Right. So if you want the details, obviously work with me and check that out. Check out, branded clients. That's my complete. I teach the B2C operating system in there. It really, honestly, we speak a lot about this trifecta we talked about here today. Check out the details there too. There's no opt-in or anything like that required. Literally, it's right there for you to see it. I do as I teach, and I teach as I preach, right? So I really want you to lean into this here today. Take action with it. No matter what's, again, whether it's in branded clients with me or not, like, understand the ideology, understand the mentality. I want you to pour into something that works so you can truly give yourself the life that you've been wanting for a long time, for too long of a time. Let's double down in the right direction.